We're scheduled a meeting on pool. We need to do that. Registration. We couldn't even find parking. So I have a spot reserved.
Well, so did Lori, but hers got taken.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't have any problem
I was
with
going to be the
parking
chief of
space.
police because you never left.
Right.
I left.
Good evening, everybody. It is 7:02 on Monday, June 19, 2017. I call a regular meeting of the Borough of Hawthorne Municipal Council to order. Roll call, please.
Bennett.
Here.
Lane.
Here.
Matthews.
Here.
Neely.
Here.
Sinning.
Here.
Pateki.
Here.
Fratello.
Here. Please stand for the flag salute and remain standing for a moment of silence for American student Otto Warmbier, who passed away this afternoon, and prayers for Congressman Scalise as he continues to convalesce in a hospital, and we wish him nothing but the best. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the annual schedule of regular meetings heretofore adopted and posted on the public bulletin board at the municipal building, emailed to the Hawthorne Press, Herald News, the Record, the Gazette, and all persons who have requested the mailing of such schedule. And a copy of said schedule has remained on file in the office of the Borough Clerk since December 8th, 2016. Approval of minutes. Approval of minutes for the regular meeting of June 7th, 2017. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Made by Matthews, seconded by Bennett. Any discussion? Roll call.
Pateki.
Yes.
Sinning.
Yes.
Neely. Matthews.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Fratello.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Public comment. I will now open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard, please raise your hand if you recognize. Come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. This is on agenda items only. Seeing no one, I entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Made by Witecki, seconded by Matthews. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no adoption of ordinance this evening, but we do have old business, I'm guessing. So we'll start with Councilman Lane.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
A while ago, I had brought up with regard to the possibility of covering the generators that are up at the DPW garage area. Is there any update on that?
No, but I'll get you something by the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. The other thing that I have, John, is with regard to the streetscape. I spoke with Eric several times. About a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, I had noticed that when the poles went up that there was no receptacles on the top of the poles. I spoke with Chris Nash from Boswell's office several times. He researched it, got back to me with regard to what the plans and specs called for and what the approved shop drawings called for. Since then, I know Eric has had several meetings with them, and I thank you, Eric, for doing that, stepping up to the plate and taking care of that. Eric did call me this afternoon with regard to a possible solution to the problem, and I believe that we're making some good headway, and I think the solution would be, it's amenable to me.
Well, until Chris has completed his review, I don't think we're prepared to say that it's...
There's a meeting
acceptable.
tomorrow to discuss all this, and I think we have a final solution, but we don't want to say what it is yet.
That's okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. All right then, but I just wanted to make that, and thank you, Eric, for stepping up. That's all I have, John.
Thanks, John. Dominic? I'm okay. Bruce?
Nothing.
Frank?
Eric, I received a certified mail from a 9th Ave resident. I just want to know if you've reached out to him and addressed all of his concerns.
The next item regarding...
Mr. Roskowski, regarding the
Yeah,
commercial
I have a
condos.
letter, it hasn't gone out yet, but I have a letter that I've prepared and will be out probably by tomorrow.
Okay, because what he says in his letter is not untrue, and it's been a little bit of an ongoing issue.
Yeah.
I know there are some
There are some issues.
pride wolf type
and
situations,
there's some things that, quite frankly, we are not going to be able to resolve to his satisfaction, but there's some things that we need to continue to address.
I'm just curious, why hasn't our property maintenance people issued summonses to the condo owner who's been working at like 4 o'clock in the morning. This has been going on for 6 or 7 months. And
We have to know about it at the time that it's happening.
if I knew about it 6 months ago, you knew about it 6 months
But
ago.
we have to know about at the time it's happening. When he calls or writes a letter or whatever several days later, we don't have a documentation, that it needs to happen. When it's happening, we need to be able to document that it's happening in order to issue a summons.
Okay.
And he's been told that. And he has called some things on Sunday, but the complaints that he has on Sunday are that someone's there doing work and the police show up and someone's doing paperwork in the office. Our zoning officer, we don't believe, has determined that's not a violation. If they're
Well,
not,
it is a violation when that gate is open. One of the conditions of that approval is on Sunday, that gate would be closed at all times,
okay.
and it's never closed. So I don't know why no one's getting a summons, since this has been going on for at least 6, 7 months.
Okay, we can make sure that the gate gets closed, but if they're there doing paperwork, we are not, on a Sunday, and they go in and they close the gate, we're not.
If they're not making noise, I understand that, but they should open the gate, go in, close the gate.
Yeah, okay,
Otherwise, they shouldn't be there.
okay.
And regarding old business Councilman Lane's issue, we're paying a firm to manage or oversee our work, are we not?
Yes.
Because it couldn't be our engineer to oversee it? Well, how the heck did they install poles that didn't even have electric on them, outlets, if we're paying somebody to manage the project? Is there any ramification against our firm that we've hired?
Well, the issues in terms of solution, should they have caught it as soon as the pole went up or as soon as the pole was delivered? Yes, but it's not a question of whether the approval, shop drawings, whatever, was handled by our regular engineer. And so when it got there, should we have identified it maybe a little earlier? It doesn't change where we are now in terms of a solution. It doesn't change the responsibility of the contractor to follow the spec, and it doesn't resolve what may be some things that might have been unclear in the spec. So, so yes, could it have been identified a little earlier? Yes, but it's not going to have any impact on the outcome of what we get with the project.
Or any monetary impact on the borough.
Right, or anything monetarily.
Steve, I did have one question specifically for you, is at the curb edge, are they saw cutting and putting expansion joint in there?
Supposed to be.
Or caulking?
I'll make sure they do. There should be.
Some of them seem to have poured tight to the curb, meanwhile, there's half-inch gaps along the curb in other areas. It would be more consistent if you cut the whole thing in and put in some
I'll make sure.
expansion caulking.
I'll make sure.
No, they're not done yet. They're not done yet.
Because the spec is clear. Obviously, you have to have expansion joints in there, otherwise it'll crack.
I'm talking right along the edge of the curb, yeah.
Right, so I'll check them. We'll make
I
sure.
know it's not you, it's the quality of the work is my question.
Right, you got it.
That's all I have, sir.
Okay. Gary?
I have nothing.
Joe?
All right, just for old business, the garbage and recycling is still being picked up before 7. I did take a picture of the person, but they saw me taking the picture, so I didn't send the picture. I got busted taking the picture, so.
Okay. We've issued summonses. We've addressed it with the contractor. I don't know exactly what our remedies are on the contract, but I'll review them with the attorney. Other than issuing summonses, which we can do, and the police have done, and I will.
Do you know how many summonses we've issued?
No, I don't.
Just, when it's cardboard day, it really doesn't make a lot of noise.
But glass and
Glass
But
and
the
bottle
difference
day, when
in
they're
the
picking up.
contract is clear.
Exactly. That's it on old.
Okay. Joe, we'll start with you for new business.
All right, so to keep up with the Diamond Bridge Avenue group, their area that they're storing their items on Grand Avenue is really starting to look unsightly. So if you go up Grand Ave, you can't miss it. It's right behind, like if you're going.
First Reformed Church.
First
Okay.
Reformed Church.
Okay.
You'll see it. It's
Okay.
just debris now.
They cleaned a bunch of it up. It still needs to be, they took a lot away
It
over the
needs
last few
attention.
days. It needs to be cleaned up.
Absolutely.
Probably washed
Okay.
down there today.
Well, it wasn't that stuff. It was just, debris. They took a lot of stuff away. They need to take a little more stuff away.
The other day, the guy, I guess the lighting guy, forgot he left his hat hazards on, so all night long, the hazards were blinking. It's just not, the attention is just not there.
Did they get dimmer as the night went on?
Yeah, the next morning, they weren't on at all.
Yeah,
Problem solved.
Anything else, Joe?
No.
Okay, Gary?
I have nothing.
Frank?
Nope.
Bruce? No. John?
Yes, Steve, again, based on Lafayette Avenue, when they put the conduits in, did our electrical inspector inspect those, or did the engineer on site inspect those, as far as the depth is concerned?
There's an electrical inspection, I know, for this week. I think he inspected them, but I'll find out, John.
But the conduits are in already, and it's
Yeah.
backfilled?
It should have been called for, I don't know if it was.
Okay, because there's a difference in the height, there's a difference in the depth with regard to in the paver area or the dirt area than there is in the street area. In the street area, it's a minimum of 24 inches down. In the grass area or the paver area, it's 18 inches down. Are they gonna uncover everything now? Didn't they call for inspections that you know of?
I don't know if they did or didn't, but I'll find out. They were supposed to. They were supposed to call for them, I don't know. Dominic, do you know?
I think they inspected, because I was there one
Yeah.
day, and Scott said that talked to Eric, you had our inspector come in.
I know that there was a glitch early on with
Right.
inspections by the electrical inspector,
Well, they
but.
closed it up.
Okay, it was supposed to be inspected.
He has
Right.
approved that, and he's
Right.
coming back for, for
When they pull the
inspection
wire,
of the
right.
wiring.
As long as it was inspected, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all, John.
Anything else? Just real quick, new business, Mayor. I'm not sure if you're going to address it in your report or not about today's Kingston Ave, the tree coming down on Kingston Ave. And not to talk about that tree, but just in general, we've had some correspondence with the shade tree. I know recently about our sycamore trees in the Norma Terrace Reed Place area again. And perhaps we can get together again or meet again, and I think we need to discuss it with the shade tree, Joe and Shuckman, and I asked the same question I ask again that I asked 2 years ago when we met with the shade tree, is when do trees become too big and become dangerous on the side of the road? And I'm not saying the Kingston Avenue tree met that category, but I worry. I look at the sycamores, I look at Arlington Avenue, I look at Reed, and these trees have become monsters around our homes. And yes, they go out and say, oh, it's a healthy tree and it's not that big, but when it comes down to somebody's home, we had a tragedy not too many years ago. Today could have been a tragedy, and it wasn't. So I think that's something we need to take a look at in a broad sense, in a broad, not to paint it with a broad brush, but I think we need to have a game plan or need to have, some protocols or policies that say, when you're looking at a 75, 85-foot tree, 15 feet from a house, is that safe? Is that something we want to, as a shade tree, is that something in long-term, and I'm not saying clear-cut every sycamore tree in Hawthorne, but do we have a plan? And same question I ask is, when does it get too big? When do they become too big in the public right-of-way by a home?
Right, well, I do know that the shade tree did meet with DPW and Downs, I think, to develop their pruning list.
Correct.
Right.
And to develop procedures for what happens when, after inspections are done, to make sure they proceed. But that's a slightly different question than John's asking, which is.
And I agree, that's the way to go. Obviously, and we had talked about this a couple of years ago, that we would do, there's 4 wards, so we would take a quarter, every first quarter would be Ward 1, second quarter, Ward 2, however we came up with a schedule, but that every ward.
I think it was
would
by
have-
a year, I think.
However it was, maybe you're right, maybe it was by year, but I know there was a pruning plan put together, many years ago by the shade tree. I assume it was followed to some point. Maybe we need to get more aggressive with it, but I think that, and that's great, obviously we want shade trees in town. I'm not saying clear cut the town of Hawthorne, but I think we really need to take a look at is when do they become too big?
I just
they
think that
become a hazard.
I hear where you're coming from, but a lot of these trees that you're referring to were here before the houses were.
Okay.
So now we punish them because we built a house next to them.
Well, I don't consider taking a tree down punishing the tree. I think
We
from a
need
safety
trees.
standpoint, Joe, I don't dispute that we need trees. All I'm saying is when do they become too big? And I'm not going to make that determination. We have experts. Let Shuckman be a part of it. Let whether we need the forestry to get involved, we deal with them for our tree city status and that sort of thing.
I think
There's
the-
got to be some protocols
The
or
one
some.
thing we need to be is more aggressive when a tree has been designated to come down, that it doesn't sit on a list for
I
a long
agree.
period of time.
I agree.
I'd rather hurt the feeling of the tree than have somebody killed in a house.
No,
you
no,
know?
and I think we agree, and as I said, I dealt with this tree in the house that was down a couple of months ago. I got a call, and I had it inspected by our arborist, who said, yeah, the tree needs to come down, and for whatever reason, it fell between the cracks, and now.
And that
it's on the house.
doesn't appear to be a huge tree. I mean, there
It was
are some.
right. It was a good-sized tree.
There are some big trees very
yeah.
close to people's homes.
The mayor makes a valid point, though, is if we stayed on top of our pruning list and our cutting tree, because we're saying the tree needed to come down.
And we didn't.
And we didn't.
Right.
And now the tree fell on the gentleman's house.
Well, that's why I want to find out why it didn't come down when it should have come down. That's really what Eric and I are delving into right now.
Like
I
Joe,
need to-
just when they get too big and you know, you look
Not
at
once.
sycamores are over people's houses.
When Councilman Lane brought up the trees on Elberon Ave, I did not speak up once, not once, but we went out to
But they were
read.
dead. I'm talking about when.
They
when
need
does
to
a-
come down.
When does a healthy tree that's 85 foot tall over your home?
But when you have the residents that come here and say, look, I got to clean up, I got to rake leaves.
I don't
you
care
know,
about that. Well, that happens. That's unfortunately
That's
that
what
tree.
happens.
You're right. That tree was there long before you bought your home.
We'll
And that's
ask the
part of it.
question of the arborist, at what height does a tree become a hazard?
Well, I want more than the arborist. I think we should talk to whether it's the forestry or whatever the case may be. You know, I think we should get experts in it and come up with a good conclusion. But I just, you know, and again, I agree with Joe, just because the tree's dirty doesn't mean it comes down. You know, if the tree is, but again, if I'm living in a house and there's a, you know, the tree is looming over my house and there are gigantic branches and, you know, you start to worry. And you say, when does that become an issue? You know, and I know it's a fine balance, but I think we should have some protocols in place to determine that, you know what, this tree has outlived its life expectancy as a shade tree on the side of the road.
Well, I
Yeah.
think we go back to what we did, I think it was with Brookside, when we went out with the arborist and the engineer, and I said, the homeowner, I said, everybody gets a vote, stay or go. Whoever gets two, that's what's gonna happen. If the homeowner and the engineer said it has to go, and the arborist said it's healthy, the tree went. But if the arborist and the homeowner said they wanna keep the tree was kept. I think on road projects, that's a great thing to do, is go door to door and say, you have a shade tree here, you know, we're redoing the road, do you have any issues, do you want to keep it, or do you want to remove it, and we'll plant a different tree?
But I think, and not to get people nervous, the issue in Brookside was that these were big trees overgrown the curbs, and,
Yep.
you know, we're trying to talk about bump outs and
Correct.
roundovers. It
No
wasn't
more bump outs.
It wasn't that these were just,
No, they weren't
these weren't
trees.
just
No,
nice
these were-
shaped trees, like, I don't like trees, take it down.
No, these were
massive
big
trees
trees.
that decisions had to be made.
And I have to say, our current arborist, when we do the road program, he's much more amenable to taking down trees just because there isn't enough room to put new
Right.
sidewalk.
And I don't
curb
disagree,
in.
I don't disagree, and I'm not knocking the plan, I'm saying I think we need to take it a step or two further.
Even
That's
if,
all.
even if we're not doing a road program, we may have to look at trees. And that's,
Maybe the freeholders should give us some artificial trees. Worth a shot.
All right, any other new business? All right, if not, at this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to our Hall of Fame mayor for his administrative agenda. Mayor Goldberg, you're up.
Thank you, Council President. If you remember, last week at Youth and Government, 2 weeks ago, Youth and Government Week, we were presented with a pride flag, which we have displayed in the building and will continue through the end of the month. But today I was able to go down to the Hawthorne High School Bears Club to discuss some issues of mutual concern. Told them that the borough's door was always open to them if they had specific problems that were borough-wide and where they needed to speak to the school board on school issues. I did offer them a table at Hawthorne Day so they can, because they want to bring awareness to religious freedom, all kinds of freedoms. And I thought that having them at Hawthorne Day would be a good chance to expose them to the general public. So they're going to do that. And we've agreed to have an ongoing dialect probably starting next fall when school goes back in session. As I told them that we're proud of all of the residents of Hawthorne and all of our children of Hawthorne. And that The ones that don't cry, we don't complain about. The pool now, of course, is open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, 3 to 8. Beginning Thursday, the pool opens for the season 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Congratulations to the Lincoln Middle School, St. Anthony's, Hawthorne Christian Academy, and Hawthorne High School graduates. We're all very proud of all of them. And we're looking forward to leadership camp for incoming 6th graders the week of August 14th through 18th. Our Environmental Commission's native plant grand opening will be 10 a.m. at Borough Hall this Saturday, June 24th. Please join us to planting showcase native plants of the region, and at the back of Borough Hall is beautiful, and thank you to Raina and her commission for all they do. It's really something worth seeing. Well, I don't like to compete.
There's a lot of background noise today, so I thought...
The Borough Band Shell had its first show of 2017 summer season. Joey Ziza and friends last night. The rain cooperated. We had a really nice crowd. The music was terrific. Thanks to our sponsors and to Mike Pasquale and his Band Shell committee. And that's to my friend Mike, who says I never thank him for anything. So please remember to drive carefully.
Consider this a start.
Now that school is out for the summer. And at this point, I have an appointment by the mayor, by the power and authority vested me as mayor of the Borough of Hawthorne. I hereby appoint Nora C. Bauer Corey as Deputy Court Administrator to the Hawthorne Municipal Court of the Borough of Hawthorne for a term to expire on December 31st, 2017, until her successor shall be appointed and qualified.
Entertain a motion to record. Motion made by Matthews, seconded by Mealy. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bennett,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Sinning.
Yes.
Tekke.
Yes.
Riccello.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, come on up. Bring as much of your family as you want.
I leave them all here?
Well, you should, but then you work here during the day, so it really wouldn't help. Okay, I assume you're gonna hold the Bible? I will. Okay.
Get the
Now, here's the secret.
Get the
Camera is over here. So if you have your back to the camera, they'll never see it. So let's move this way a little bit. So this way, everybody has to see you. So when they come in with their tickets, they'll know who to complain.
Get the
Eric was my
microphone.
boss, right?
Microphone.
Microphone, okay.
Podium.
You got it?
Mike, you want to move the podium?
Yeah. Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Michael, you gotta just move the back.
Move it out of the way.
Okay, now I'm gonna ask you to place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, Nora C. Bauer Corey,
I, Nora C. Bauer Corey,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same,
to the same
to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and will perform the duties of
and will perform the duties of
Deputy Court Administrator
Deputy Court Administrator
of the Borough of Hawthorne,
of the Borough of Hawthorne,
faithfully,
faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly,
and justly,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did it possible? First.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I got two of them. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right. High five.
Come on, Dad.
High five. You're on television today. Oh, they're over already? Holy cow.
All right, ice cream for the kids. They earned it.
Wriggles, here we go.
They earned it. Mayor, you want to put your order in now?
Oh, yeah.
The energy level.
She lives with, I think.
bush.
How do you upstage that?
Well, you guys have a tough act to follow. Never follow children or animals, right?
Okay, you'll be coming right in after the elephant act.
And it really is an act.
Couple of months ago, we were visited by St. Joe's Wayne to tell us that they had a facelift, and that it wasn't your grandfather's St. Joe's of Wayne, and with Valley moving a couple of miles further into Paramus, and people reluctant sometimes to go into Patterson for healthcare, they came and asked whether they could make a presentation to the council and to the community. So I'm going to call on Guy Angelbeck and his team to come up and talk about St. Joe's Wayne.
Thank you so much, Mayor Goldberg.
You're welcome.
Good evening.
Thanks for
Good
giving
evening.
us some time tonight. As Mayor Goldberg mentioned, Guy and I went and visited with him a couple of months ago. All three of us here are new. I'm Jennifer Medrozicki. I'm the Vice President for St. Joseph's Wayne. With me is Steve Alderson. He's the Vice President for Physician Services for St. Joseph's Healthcare System, as well as Guy Angelbeck, who's our Manager of Physician Services over at St. Joseph's Wayne. So all three of us are new. Within, I think you're almost a year now, right? I'm about 8 months, and Guy and I started within a few weeks of each other. So there's been a lot of changes at St. Joseph's Wayne. We wanted to come and present to you and just give you an idea of what some of those changes have been. As many of you might know, we have been part of the St. Joseph's Healthcare System for about 16 years now. And for many of those years, a lot of the focus was on Patterson. And for those that have been there, you can see that a lot of development has been done on that campus, and a lot of great programs have been brought to that campus. And now the focus is really on Wayne. The idea is to bring a lot of the really great programs and the care that we have at Patterson to the Wayne campus so that we can provide that same level of care and quality to the community here for those that may not want to travel into Patterson for those services. So some of the things that we've done and changed at Wayne recently, in October 1st actually, we have a new emergency physician group that practices at Wayne. Previously, we had contracted with a vendor to come in and provide those services. We terminated that agreement, and we brought in the same physicians that work at the Patterson location. So we go back and forth. We rotate physicians throughout Patterson and Wayne. And so far, I'm hearing very positive things about the care that the patients and the community is receiving in our emergency department. So we're very excited about that. Some of the programs that will be coming to our emergency department, July 1st, we're going to institute our ALTO program, which was started actually in the Patterson Emergency Department. I don't know if any of you have heard about the program. It's been in the national news. The governor came to see the program recently. It's called the Alternatives to Opioids program. So basically, it's a set process so that when patients come in, we do our best to not have to give them opioids. Obviously, there are cases and times where that's appropriate, but at least initially, we do our best not to give patients opioids, knowing that there is, unfortunately, a risk of becoming addicted once you leave the hospital. And unfortunately, we have seen a rise in patients coming in who are addicted to opioids to our emergency department, not only just at Patterson, but also at Wayne. So we're very excited about this program. We have a physician, Mariana Karunas, who is coming from Patterson to Wayne. We're going to start that program July 1st. In addition, we're also going to start a geriatric ED. So we have a geriatric ED at the Patterson location. We're going to open that up at the Wayne location as well. What it basically means in layman's terms is that instead, if you were 78, my mom's 78, so if she were to fall and thought maybe she broke a hip, she would be brought into her local emergency room. They would do an x-ray. They determined she didn't break anything. They maybe give her an ace bandage or some, possibly even some painkillers and send her on her way. A geriatric ED takes a totally different approach. First of all, patients 65 and older don't wait in the waiting room. They come right back. They get seen immediately by a physician. Obviously, the x-ray would still be done. But in addition to that, we do a falls assessment. We look at the medications that they've been prescribed. We do a delirium assessment. We do a dementia assessment, all in the hopes of keeping that person out of the ED so that they don't have another fall. So that's a little bit of what a geriatric ED is, and that's what we're going to be bringing to Wayne in July. So we will be able to offer those services as well. Some of the other programs we've recently instituted. In mid-April, we were designated as a primary stroke center by the state. We were very excited about that. It was a long process, and it took well over a year, but we were very excited to finally get that designation. We've had several patients come in, either on their own or through the EMS, who have needed some medication. It's called TPA, in order to break up clots that they've had. And thankfully, all of those patients have done remarkably well. So we're very excited to be able to offer that to the community. Today, we received our Da Vinci robot. It arrived at about 11:35 this morning. And we will start a robotic surgical program on the campus as well. Our first case is scheduled for June 28th. Some of the surgeries that you could have on a robot, gynecological surgeries, general surgeries, and those are all the ones we will be performing at the hospital. In addition to that, the day before we have our first robotic surgery, we will have our first bariatric surgery. So Doctors Rainville and Ballum, who are currently performing surgeries at Claremont and is also at Mountainside, will be coming to the Wayne campus. They will have an office right across the parking lot. They will be seeing patients once a week, and they will have their first surgery performed on June 27th. So a lot of really exciting programs that are coming. In addition, we've got some outpatient services that are currently located inside the hospital that are going across the parking lot, specifically our physical therapy and our diabetes program. Those will all be located on the 3rd floor of the building right across the parking lot from us, and we're renovating the entire space. Hopefully the state will approve our plans that we're putting in at the end of this week, at the end of this month. So that will go onto the 3rd floor. In addition to that, we are opening a cardiac rehabilitation program. It's not one that we've had in Wayne before. It is the need. It's been something that in my travels around the towns, it's been something that's come up several times, about the need for cardiac rehabilitation. So we will be bringing that to the campus. We anticipate getting state approval probably sometime in the fall, and then we'll be able to start construction with the hopes of being able to start seeing patients in that location in the beginning of 2018. So those are some of the programs we've got going. We're also putting together a wound care program. I hear that that is something that is much needed in the community in a lot of the different places I've traveled. We don't currently have an outpatient wound center anywhere in the system, so this would be our first, and it will be located on the campus in Wayne as well as coming in 2018, a chest pain center. We are looking to be able to expand our cardiac catheterization lab. Instead of just doing a basic intervention, we want to be able to deploy stents and do balloon angioplasties as well. So those are some of the exciting programs that are coming. If you are interested in hearing more about our ALTO program, we will actually be offering a what we call a spotlight on St. Joseph's on October 14th, right down the road at Macaluso's. Dr. Rosenberg, who's who's our chairman of the emergency department, as well as Dr. LaPietra, who heads up that program, will be here, and I will send that off to you as well. In addition to that, we also, and I think we did see some of the Hawthorne EMS at our last event.
Correct.
We've been offering since the beginning of the year, every other month, EMS dinners, so that we invite the EMS squads out, we give them a very nice dinner and an educational program where they can get their credits that they need to be able to stay licensed. First event we had was 75 people, and the last one we have is 100. So we have another one coming up next month, and we'll get that out to you as well, so that anyone that's interested is more than welcome to come.
Yeah, we've been happy that your Hawthorne EMS folks have been coming.
Very happy.
Seems like it's all been very well received.
Absolutely.
And then I don't know if you're going to mention it right now, but the autism.
Yes, thank you. When we had met with Mayor Goldberg, I know that he had mentioned that autism is something that's an issue in the town, and that many parents move into the town because of the wonderful services that are provided here. We actually have a well-recognized program called the Binder Autism Center. It was funded by a family that had come to St. Joseph's with their son, who is now 25, a college graduate living on his own, and they were so pleased with the care they received that they donated funds to run this program. So we have a really amazing program. I know Donna Stone, who runs the program, had reached out to the mayor's office and have reached out actually to a few family members in the town to invite them to some of the events that we have. But it's one of the things that we'd like to bring to Hawthorne Day so that we can let the community know of all the services that we have. And some of those services will be coming to the Wayne campus as well. So I thank you for your time.
Well, I want you to know I'm very impressed with the services and hope I never need any of them.
Yes. I say that all the time. We hope you don't need us, but if you do, we are here and we are happy to.
So I would anticipate you will go to one of the EMS dinners?
Yes, that's it.
Excellent.
Mayor, I'll bring you, Mayor. It's okay.
You hadn't heard
Please come, we
about
would
the
love to
food.
have you.
But it's nice to know that there's a viable alternative close to home, that they don't have to go to Patterson, they don't have to go to Hackensack, because truth in advertising, I have a Board of Trustee member of Hackensack Hospital here. But traditionally, I think most of our residents go to Valley and Ridgewood, and in all fairness, next meeting will be passing a resolution supporting their move to Paramus. But I think it's important to bring all the alternatives to the borough so people understand that when they need an ambulance and they go, where do you want to go? It could be St. Joe's Wayne, it could be Valley, it could be Hackensack, it could be St. Joe's Patterson. At least now they have a viable alternative at St. Joe's Wayne.
Absolutely.
And I really appreciate the work that all of you have done and bringing St. Joe's Wayne up to the standards of the other surrounding hospitals, and in some cases exceeding the standards of the other hospitals.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for?
No, speaking from personal experience, my children came into this world at St. Joseph's in Wayne, and my mom departed this world at St. Joseph's in Wayne, and I cannot say enough about the standard of care they all receive there. The compassion and the care is second to none, so
Thank you.
you have my support in whatever you want to do.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Also, I think the job that the three of you are doing here tonight, as far as marketing the hospital, is very important, because in the past, the hospital did not have a good reputation. I'll just put it that way. I'm in EMS from Hawthorne. And, we used to cringe, if the patient would say, I want to go to Wayne, because it just didn't have, in my opinion, just didn't have the quality that Patterson has or Ridgewood has. And I'm very excited now that, you have all this new programs that you're having, we would bring somebody there, and you have to bring them to Patterson because we don't have a CAT scan machine here. You lose time, and now that you're offering this, I strongly recommend that do your marketing and sell it to EMS also, because people ask us where do you want to go? You just take me to the best place that in cases. So it's good that you're able to get out there and do this. For all the communities that basically would St. Joe's Wayne would service, so thank you for it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, thank you very much for coming out. It's very informative.
Okay.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
You can leave, too. If you'd like to stay and see us in action, you're more than welcome to. We won't be insulted if you leave. We figure you probably have another meeting tonight.
At this point, I call upon the band shell chairman for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll speak first as the borough attorney and thank the Wayne General people for being here. Near and dear to my heart, too, because my father was a trustee there for many, many years.
Yes, he was.
I believe Raymond Halleck in the audience was a John A. Pasquale III award recipient once upon a time. So
Very distinguished career in that, right?
Yes. Yes, and I believe Dorothy Woods is on the board at St. Joe's, Wayne, or Patterson now. Anyway, but let me report legal matters. Synthetic turf field in Gopherbrook Park, obviously it's something that we need to address on a regular basis. On Friday of last week, I filed an appeal in the appellate division challenging the ruling of Commissioner Bob Martin of the DEP that a synthetic turf field could be approved in the park and that the project could go forward. It's a unique situation because the appeal in this case is not to the Superior Court, it's straight to the appellate division, and we are going forward with everything we have to make sure that we can stop this project from proceeding. I also sent a letter to Anthony DeNova, which you all received by way of copy, indicating that the county is advertising for bids, but they never came to our planning board for approvals. It's required. New Jersey statutes require governmental entities to seek and approval at the planning board level in the municipalities where they're working. That didn't happen here. Anthony emailed me back saying he was forwarding it on to county council. Haven't heard from them yet, but we will do what we have to continue to fight this fight. So a lot going on. I sent you a couple of memos explaining some of the details, and we're going to continue to keep this beautiful historic park exactly as it should be. Affordable housing, just real quickly, there's a trial that's going on in Mercer County regarding the so-called gap years, which I think I've explained before. 1999 to 2015, affordable housing was not established by the Council on Affordable Housing. They never did their jobs. The Supreme Court did rule that there's an obligation to address that need. So Dr. Kinsey said, well, that's another 200,000 affordable housing units in the state of New Jersey, and our experts at eConsult said the number's a lot closer to 34,000. Pretty big spread. The court appointed a special master there, Richard Redding, who analyzed both reports and thought the number should be closer to 90,000, but he was going to listen to the trial testimony and report back to the court. End of last week, he said the number is much closer to the consult number, and it's closer to 60,000, as opposed to the 200,000 or so that Dr. Kinsey is reporting. So, being part of this consortium is still, even though we don't see an immediate benefit here in Hawthorne, has been beneficial, because by getting the fair share housing people to recognize that the numbers should be much, much lower than they're saying, it helps all of us to address our impacts and our needs. We're not afraid to address affordable housing here in Hawthorne. It's just a question of the right number, and we're getting there, so that's good news there. Tax appeals, just next week you'll get a settlement on 153 Central Avenue, which is the Lakeview Farms. It's a very small settlement in terms of the outlay to the taxpayer, and I think we're down to 7 pending cases in the tax court, which is a historic low. Now I'm going to report as the band shell.
Absolutely.
Last night was opening night. For those of you who were there, it was a spectacular night. The weather cooperated. Joe Uzisa and friends came out and they performed. They gave an energized performance. We had about 300 people there, and it was just a terrific night. From start to finish, I have to thank the band shell committee there, just phenomenal workers. One of them's in the back, our friend Joan, visiting on loan from the zoning board. But, we had a great turnout of people, but also, again, behind the scenes, not just our committee, but I do want to say the people in Borough have been so supportive. The people in Borough Hall, I said in the memo to you guys today, but I want to repeat it. There are people who are doing their jobs, and that much we get, but then we have people who are just going way beyond. Whether it's Bob Scully and the job that he's doing. Lori got us an ice cream truck, which was really cool because it was hot last night. And so having that there was great. So we have been just getting cooperation from across everywhere. We've raised about $17,000 in private funds, which is phenomenal. And it's going to allow us to do 7 concerts and 3 movies. The next one is not until July 13, I believe, is the next date, and that'll be a Broadway and Beyond presentation. But we're going to, throughout the course of the summer, hit country music, again, against my wishes, but it's happening, rock and roll music, classical music. We're going to have Christmas in July with the movie Elf. We're going to have Aladdin. We're going to have, this was my idea, Marvel's Avengers, dress as your favorite Marvel character. Wonder Woman is not a Marvel character, by the way. And
So you won't be dressing up like that?
Not this year.
Okay.
If we do a DC movie next year, maybe. But again, it's just going to be a great summer, and I thank everybody for their support. Most of all, I thank the people who showed up. And again, 300 people showing up on a summer night, it was great. So thank you to everybody, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Michael, and congratulations to a great opening event, and we look forward to the next one, the Diva Tenors in Broadway, I believe.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, we now call upon the borough engineer. What a familiar face. Well, I recognize you anyway. Dr. Stephen Boswell.
Thank you, Your Honor. Arlington Avenue, which is our DOT project this year, base mapping is being prepared, drawings will be done.
and I assume you'll accept our proposal to do those services at the next meeting, just to make sure. The band shell, we have two things to report on. A, the corrective work. The corrective work, as you recall, the wrong material was used in terms of waterproof. The contractor will be in Monday today. He was supposed to start, although with the weather he may not have. The work will be done before July 3rd. He is, as you know, we said to him, because the maintenance bond is about to expire, we said to him, you're going to fix this and you're going to extend the maintenance bond a year. And he's agreed in principle to extend the maintenance bond, but he'd like to extend it only to the repairs, which may not be unfair, but we'll talk about that as we go forward. The bathrooms and the lighting area, Ed Essie, the architect on the bathrooms, had prepared an initial drawing for the structure, but he's considered some modifications to the configuration and the dimensions, which we'll show you. And once he gives that, we've given him a site drawing as to where it's going to go, and then we'll put it all together when we have it all to you. Tonight, you're rejecting the DPW bids. I assume that the process will be to, we haven't had, I know DPW committee, Bruce talked about it. I assume we'll go out again and try and negotiate and see if we can get it in for the number that we'd like to do, or maybe actually get it on the second bid, which would be nice. The 2016 road program will be closed out probably by the next meeting. The streetscape, by Friday, June 16th, last Friday, all the trees and gratings were installed except for 2. All the signs were installed except for 1. The street lights are installed, and we're working to address the receptacles. John brought up the issue. They were supposed, the plans and specs showed receptacles. They submitted a shop drawing, which did not show a receptacle. We crossed it out and said, you have to put the receptacles in, and the ones delivered didn't have receptacles. We're having a meeting tomorrow to discuss, as I said before, the solution, whether it's to send the poles back and have new ones welded or screw ones on. We'll figure out which one works best for the borough, obviously. And all of this, of course, is to no cost to the borough. Passaic Ave cross connection, which we discovered when we did some of the work on the lining. Tonight you're approving the proposal to go and fix that issue that's there. Rock Road improvements, for cleanup, started the concrete work last Monday. Once completed, they'll move on to Lee Avenue. The water storage tank painting, the plans and specs are nearly complete. We're working with the water department to talk about how we're going to drain the tank and put in a new weir as well, and fire flow when the tank is out of service. And again, I hope you approve the resolution tonight, giving us authorization to do those plans and specs because they're done. The GPS field survey and GIS services, we're just working with the water department to finish that all up. It's almost done. There'll be a computer model, and we'll show all that to you once it's all done. The message board out front at the municipal building will be installed on June 27th. We've also given a purchase order to Post and Kelly to put the new electric service in, and we've given the message board operator the website's IP address, the borough's IP address, so it can be hit wirelessly, but only by authorized people, of course. 2017 road program, as I mentioned, for cleanup, we'll begin the concrete work on Lee, then they'll move on to 8th, and part of this is CDBG funded for the ramps, and we'll notify Debbie Hoffman for the CDBG part to let them know to do the inspection when that work happens. Tax maps are completed, the updates, and Tim Henderson's reviewing those. Once he signs off, we'll have those completed. 125 Maitland will be addressed once for cleanup gets to work on the 17 road program. The air permits for the generators are nearly complete. We'll probably have them done by the next meeting. And finally, 110 Hawthorne, that sidewalk, we're meeting with the contractor this week to resolve that. Other than that, Mayor, I'll answer questions.
Thank you, Stephen. Before I go to Eric, I just want to mention in the last 10 or 12 days, we've had 2 very serious accidents in Hawthorne. One by a bicyclist going down Gopple Hill Road who hit a divot or something and had a bad fall, and the outcome was not good. And the other one was Friday. We had a woman who was put her child on a bus and then was crossing the street back to apartment, and apparently a car may have passed 2 parked cars plus the bus and struck that woman. And that's why I talked about driving safely, but if you're going to go bicycling, particularly in areas you don't know, please wear a helmet. I know, Bruce, that bothers you because it's somebody's choice, but it's really...
Sure. I mean, it makes sense. It's an impersonal choice, and if you're going to bicycle, you're probably going to be wise, particularly on that road.
Right.
That hill.
I just want to express the borough's sympathies to both families. The second woman is recovering, I believe, in the hospital right now. The first woman did pass away, as was my understanding. And just our hearts go out to both families for what are unnecessary tragedies. And I'm just so saddened by it that I almost didn't want to bring it up. But I think it's important that we recognize sometimes good things happen and sometimes not so good things happen. All right, Eric, now that I've set the tone, I call upon my Borough Administrator, Eric Maurer, for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to follow up on an item raised at previous council meetings, the cooking oil at the recycling center. We do have identified a vendor who will take cooking oil there at reasonable cost, and we'll have that in place shortly. We're also in the process of reviewing all items collected at the recycling center that involve a cost to us to recycle them, and we'll provide that information to the appropriate council committee to determine whether we need to add some fees to people dropping things off or adjust them. I'm not saying we don't necessarily have to recover our costs, but that may be one of the options that we want to look at. The resolution R10917 on the agenda tonight authorizes a lease with T-Mobile that essentially completes the leasing of the top of Longview Tank for antennas. We will now be generating over $500,000 a year from the rents on that tank. A more complete explanation is in the memo in your packet. And really, other than that, I took the past couple weeks off, and so that completes my report.
I'll do it more often.
We didn't know you were gone.
It was nice. He was really the acting
mayor.
mayor.
The acting mayor, so I
He
couldn't.
put on 10 pounds.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, you go away for a week and what happens, you know? Council President, we'll be happy to answer any dietary questions that you may have.
Absolutely. I'm going to start tonight. In the pool renovations, we're talking about the bathrooms that we're going to install. I believe the ordinance included lighting.
Right,
We
exit
included
lighting.
that. Are we planning that? Is anything going on with that? The pathway lighting?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
The
that's right.
only part
What's
of
in
the
the grant?
bathroom goes in, that'll all be part of it.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Is there, I know that, but is there plans yet? Is anything done with that?
Plan's not done, just we're waiting for the building. Once the building's done, we'll have the plan and we'll show it all to you.
Okay, now that's going to be the walkway all the way to the
From
parking
the
lot, right?
pool parking lot all the way up.
And it will be lighted the whole way.
Now, did we address anything, and as far as a walkway or anything from the macadam area in front of the pool entrance to the top of the, to get rid of that berm? We were talking about something a little more handicap accessible, or a little more safe for people to navigate.
We were, but of course, the handicap parking is available around the back, so that doesn't really.
It's something, though. If it's funding and we have the money in the ordinance, I think it's something maybe we should take a look at,
We'll
even if
certainly
it's a
take a
couple
look.
longer steps. and,
Right. We'll
you know,
certainly take a look at
by the end of Hawthorne Day with the kids and
Right,
and
it's like a
spills, and
slide,
everything, it's
yeah.
a slide.
Yeah.
So maybe we'd be a little proactive if we're going to put lighting in.
Yep.
Maybe that's the time you're going to dig up for conduit. Maybe that's the
Okay.
time to do that. So that's all I had for the administration. Joe, anything?
I have nothing.
Okay. Gary?
Just a comment for Michael. As I was leaving last night, there was a group of people in front of me. I think they were probably some of the Joey Z's regulars there. And he said something, Joey Z's said that today, we'll be at, I think, at the Brownstone for New Year's. And he said, that sounds good, but he said, this was much better.
They love playing here because they say the acoustics in our band shell are perfect, and they love this better than anywhere else they play. So,
Good.
That's all.
thank you.
Okay. Nothing. Bruce?
No, sir.
Tyler?
Nothing, not now.
John?
Yes. Michael, in the paper last week, I believe there was something regarding another project by the county to redo the baseball or softball fields that are down there. Do you know anything about that?
They had, I believe there was a rehabilitation that was proposed for the fields, but.
It was like a $1.2 million project for that,
They
too.
had come to the planning board in the borough and the environmental commission asking for support for their grant. We opted not to support the grant opportunity because we felt they'd make improvements and charge us more to use the fields.
That was, I was leading towards that.
Right, that, you know, I wasn't gonna, you know, give them an excuse to raise my rent.
Okay. The other question that I have is basically based on what Council President Bertolo said. Steve, we're installing the bathrooms, that's one thing, but is it possible to have the site lighting or the walkway lighting installed prior to the start of construction for the bathrooms? Because people use them, even just use them to go to the pool.
Right.
And, I
Yeah,
mean, it would be a big help.
The answer is yes, John, but we have to install them in the right place, so we're waiting to see the final site plan. We can put the lights in right away. They don't have to wait for the bathroom. We can do them anytime. As long as there's funding, there's no
And
issue.
we'll have to bid it.
Right, we just have to bid it, but as long as there's funding.
You won't have to bid.
Go out.
How much is it gonna be?
The lighting?
The lighting's cheap, isn't it?
More than the bid
More than
threshold.
bathroom, I know.
Yes, John.
Okay, thank you. That's all, John.
Okay. All right, anything else from the administration?
No.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to record the administrative agenda. So moved. Made by Matthew, seconded by Witecki. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. There are no ordinances for introduction this evening. We do have resolutions. Consent agenda R10117 through R10917. R10117, Borough of Hawthorne payroll dated June 9, 2017. R10217, payment of 2012 general serial bonds. R10317, refunds of tax overpayments. R10417, Boswell Engineering Services for Passaic Ave sewer improvements. R10517, Boswell Engineering Services for SCADA upgrades. R10617, Boswell Engineering Services for Mary Street and Goffle Hill tanks. R10717, reject bids for the DPW storage wash building. R10817, liquor license renewals for 2017, 2018 term. And R10917, lease agreement with T-Mobile on Longview Tank Cell Tower. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Made by Mealy, seconded by Lane. Before we go into questions, our clerk, Lori, would like to talk about R10817 for a minute.
Thank you, Council President. Excuse me. I just wanted to let you know I have an updated report in your packet. As the backup to 10817, there was 6 establishments that were missing the check mark for that health inspection. I did receive that report this afternoon from Jean Mocalusi. It is here in my backup. I'm sorry I didn't make copies for everybody, but it's here if you'd like to look at it.
Is there a problem? Any problem? Any problem with help?
No.
Okay.
Actually, well, before I say no, Bender's was conditional on her first visit, and she went back Saturday, the 17th, and they are now satisfactory. So everybody has tax clearance, health inspections, police and fire inspections, all dues are paid. So everybody's good to go. And there were 2 pending tax clearance as well on your report. Those are all clear. So this is the complete updated report if anybody cares to look at it, but everybody is good to go.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori, for staying on top of it. This may be the first year we've gotten around on shooting time. So, good. Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
Witecki?
Yes.
Sinning?
Yes.
Neely?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Lane?
Abstain on 1604, 32, 018, 004, and yes on all others.
Bennett?
That's not bills.
Not Bill's resolution. What resolution?
No, he was talking about
The
a
license.
liquor license.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Get with the program.
Well, I was looking at the resolution.
Me too.
Sorry, Lori, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Start over.
I knew it. Bennett?
Yes.
Bertolo?
It's scary when you start understanding John, by the way. Yes. Reports of special council committees. As you all know, our deputy clerk, Vanessa, has given her notice and will be leaving us, and we wish her luck. Thank you for your service.
Heard she's taking a babysitting gig.
No, she didn't do well today. She couldn't quiet the poor little boy down, you know? She does have practice. James was doing good. But anyway, so the Personnel Committee will be meeting soon when we start getting some resumes in, and Lori obviously will be a part of that, and we'll fill that position. In the meantime, we'll have coverage, and we'll work on making sure that the confident that the office will flow as freely.
Let's go on vacation for a couple of weeks, and work for Eric.
Yes. So it'll be business as usual in the clerk's office.
He didn't hear you, right?
I know. Good joke right over his head.
John, we'll start down your end.
I'm good, John.
Dominic?
First of all, I don't want to congratulate, but give Michael a nice job last night. It wasn't
You
for
can
Michael.
congratulate.
Well, I want to congratulate him.
I don't get this.
Mayor told him not to.
Thank you.
Michael did a nice job in this
Oh,
committee,
you're on fire,
But
Frank.
Dominic, it's a whole committee. You're
but you
right.
run the committee.
That's true. I'll give
Okay,
you
so
that
thank
part.
Also, I want to acknowledge Raina's environmental committee. She had an awards assembly last week, and she honored the children of our town again. She does a nice job, and she also honored Kohler. They went solar.
They were the green business of
Yeah,
the year.
they went solar panels on the building, and they were very nice, and they accepted the award. They were very, very helpful. She does a nice job. We also got a grant, $2,000 grant she got for us. You get that in Atlantic City, the grant? She got a $2,000 grant? for us?
Yes, so we were presented that at Atlantic City when we maintained our silver sustainability level.
And that's it.
Okay, Bruce?
Did he come home?
Oh, it's hanging out there in the hallway.
He meant the 2,000.
Another one.
Apparently Frank's having Rich write his material for him. All right, the Public Works Committee will have a brief meeting tomorrow, since we couldn't do it tonight, at 6:30 PM. And the Board of Rec met on June the 14th, and on July 22nd, the Sasso fundraiser with ESPN will be down at the Wag Road Ball Fields. The permit was issued at the meeting the other night. And kudos to Jane Tenke, to the Board of Rec, because prior to tonight, as you saw out here, we had the final sign-up for the summer rec program. And prior to tonight, she already had 400 children signed up.
Wow.
And so,
There's about 6,000 out there.
yeah, and she has 23 volunteers ready to go, so it looks like another healthy summer rec program. That's it.
Thanks, Bruce. Frank?
Nothing to report.
Gary?
I have nothing.
Joe?
I just would like to thank the entire council, mayor, and administration for switching to tonight. It really does mean a lot to me. Thank you very much.
Well, we all believe family comes first, Joe.
Thank you.
That's why we did it. All right, if nothing else, we have no correspondence, but we do have bills. Motion to approve the bills and forward to treasurer for payment. Made by Mealy, seconded by Sinning. Any discussion? Roll call.
Bennett?
Yes.
Lane?
Abstain on the ambulance corps and the fire department, yes on all others.
Matthews?
Yes, on all.
Millie?
Yes.
Sinny?
Yes.
Wojcicki?
Staying on the fire department, yes on all others.
Curtola?
Yes. Oh, abstain on Brown Street Service, yes on all others. Public comment. I will now open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard, please raise your hand to be recognized. Come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Anyone wish to be heard? Sir? Seeing no one, I entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting. Made by Matthews, seconded by Wojcicki. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Adjournment. Motion to adjourn. Made by Bennett, seconded by Sinning. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next regular meeting of the municipal council is on Wednesday, July 5th at 7 PM. Have a safe 4th of July. Thank you. We are adjourned.